Today, we're going to be taking a look at Mukiro's account. An account that I'm actually a little jealous of because they are a Keqing main. Because I'd be a Keqing main too, if I had one. Mukiro is a late game player that isn't looking for any specific advice. They just want to see how their account is doing and see if their builds are any good. He says that he has been a very lucky player that has been able to get many characters at low pity, but that he struggled with building them. So he always defaults back to Keqing. Honestly, I don't blame you, because that queen is absolutely worth it. So I logged in to this party here. I'm assuming this is like a friendship team or something. But since we have these characters in front of us, let's take a look at these first, shall we? Baiju, you're up. Until you haven't maxed your statues from that stamina there. Not very late game player of you. Weapons, worn sacrificial fragments. Okay. Level 70? Come on now. Level up your weapons. I mean, he's level 80 at least. He does want to be 90 because he is an HP scaler. This weapon isn't necessarily the best choice for him. Do you have a prototype amber? Oh my god, you don't even have one crafted. Well, that's what I would suggest you switch him to. Prototype amber is great for him. It synergizes perfectly with his kit and it gives him extra HP and he'll do you well. Okay, what is okay, so he's a healer. But Maidens is not the best choice. Not to mention we've only got a 2-piece. We have a 3-piece set here. Maidens is fine if you want to maximize his healing, but something like Deepwood or Noblesse would really give him more support utility for your team. Also, alternatively for weapons, if you have a Thrilling Tales at R5, this can also be really good for him. Don't underrate these 3-star weapons. In fact, I'm going to lock this one for you. And save some copies of those that you get in the future. Because this is really good for a lot of Catalyst supports, and he's actually a character that can use the HP percent stat. So generally, when looking at artifact stats, if he's just on a support build, we're really looking for HP and ER, and a little bit of EM is probably going to be fine too. So in that case, this is a solid piece for him. Got some nice ER rolls there. Looks like we went into flat HP a couple times, but you know, at least it's not a wasted stat. But this is another nice piece as well, all useful except for the flat defense, right? But useful stats for him. HP is probably better for his support build. This is just going to increase his personal damage. And then, okay, HP stands. Again, HP stands is fine, but if you switch off of the Denter damage bonus, you can go for HP here, and you can go for ER here, which will make him a lot comfier to use. And looking to the side here, I'm noticing now, we do not have a lot of 5-star artifacts. Where'd they go? I'm sure he works for you as he is right now, but he could definitely use some improvements. Alrighty, Bennett, also their level 80 character. Is this Bennett built correctly? Skyward Blade, okay. Level 70 again. Level your weapons, man. Your weapons do so much for your character, especially Bennett. Oh, what is this? This is the most patchwork Bennett build I've ever seen. Where's the Noblesse? There's not even a single Noblesse piece on here. It's so quick to strongbox an HP percent Noblesse set. Really, it's not worth it to have this kind of a build on him. 20% crit damage and an ER roll on an emblem flower needs to go to somebody else, man. Circlet attack percent. Another person has fallen victim to the incorrect way of building Benny. I know I explained this in the last review, but let me go over this one more time. Bennett's buff from his burst scales off of his base attack. His base attack are all of the flat stats you get from leveling up him, leveling up his weapon. Because of that, building attack percent on Bennett really does nothing for him. What you really want to do is invest into HP percent because that increases his healing. Here, for example, you'd much rather have either healing bonus or HP percent. Looking at your artifacts over here, it looks like you don't have a lot to go around. And whether that's a case of either not farming enough or strongboxing too much, it can really hinder your options when building, and that's how you end up with patchwork builds like this. I can guess you have issues with artifact fodder as well. Now instead, this is the kind of thing you might want to give to Jean, for example. Jean looks like she doesn't have a build yet. She could use the attack percent iridescent piece right there. This, you definitely want this to be HP. Sometimes you want this to be ER, but you're running an ER weapon, so you shouldn't need to. But also to note, even though I wouldn't fully level up these artifacts for Bennett, fully leveling artifacts is really important. I'm a little nervous to see what you're doing to my girl Clorand here now. Okay, we've got Finale. That's a good start. 2,500 attack. Very nice. 20,000 max HP. A little suspicious. This one's level 90. Very nice. She also wants level 90 though, when you can get there. You got 8 on the skill, 8 on the burst. Very nice. A little bit wasted on the normal attack. She doesn't need this at all. Her scaling does not use it, so it's really just a waste unless you're trying for physical Clorand. But if you really want to play physical Clorand, play Skyward Clorand. Artifacts, yeah, that's what I thought. So we got the 2-piece Thundering Fury, which, you know, she's an electro character, she can use it. But Clorand is actually a very easy character to build because she can work with Gladiator, which is a set that you farm passively just by fighting bosses. Which at this point in the game, theoretically, you should have a bunch of good Gladiator pieces to go around. So while you're level 90ing your characters here, you can focus on getting some Gladiator pieces for Clorand. Honestly, I don't think I would have even plus 20'd this. Thunder Soother Flower. This would be a nice off piece with that crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent. I would keep this one around if you need to use it on her or any character really. Crit damage circlet does have a crit rate substat, but looks like he didn't roll very well for you. Yeah, I'm seeing some HP percent rolls, and that would be where that 20,000 HP comes from. This is a piece that I would keep for somebody else, but not for Clorand. This would be a good Sino piece with that ER and that EM. For having a crit damage circlet, that's pretty low on the crit damage. And the crit rate is not ideal either. She does gain 20% crit rate from her passive, so this is a functional crit rate of 76%. But I would say if you choose to refarm for her, aim for at least 60%. I'm a big believer that crit rate is often neglected. People focus way too much on getting big crit damage numbers and forget that this number really doesn't matter if you only hit it 50% of the time. Alrighty, another girl that I don't have that I'm very jealous of, Navia. 2,300 attack, level 80 once again. She doesn't need to be 90, but you can if you really like her. Just make sure to at least get that last ascension stat, so for that extra crit damage. On the Melzine sword, and it's R5, and level 90. Very nice. Very good weapon for her. And looks like you did all the quests too, I can see from the stickers on it. This is a great weapon for her, because it gives her a ton of attack percent. And that ER is really comfy for her burst. Talents, okay. Definitely want to bring up the skill higher, that's where the majority of her damage comes from. But actually, every part of her kit is usable, depending on how you're playing her. I would say get everything up to 8. If you're playing her as more of a quick swap, then just do the skill first. 2-piece Golden Troop, that's a start. So I would strive for a 4-piece set. You're close. You got 3 pieces here. So either swapping out the circlet or the sands here. This is definitely something that can be refarmed because there's only one really super usable stat here, and the ER is nice, but not necessary. Crit damage circlet. You may want to go over crit rate because she ascends with crit damage. Might make it easier to balance her ratio. What's her ratio looking like right now? 47-166. I would say it's hard to tell right now because you don't have a final build on her. At least I wouldn't consider most of these pieces final pieces. So you could keep this on her as an off piece. And since the sands need some improvements, I would say this is the one to replace. Alright, the woman of the hour. Keqing. Level 90, of course. 2,200 attack. Okay, what's the ratio? 50% crit rate. We gotta bring that up. If you're gonna say this is your main, You gotta have a better crit rate for him. Lion's Roar, okay. But again, level 80? Level 80, man, level your weapons. 2-piece Thunder Soother. I'm gonna steal this Keqing from you. You are not treating her right, okay? You say that she's your main, and this is her artifact build? No, don't tell me you're going for a 4-piece Thunder Soother. Ooh, nice piece though. Okay, not a bad circlet. You can keep this for an off piece. I mean, the 4-piece set isn't terrible. If you're farming this set already, then Thundering Fury is just so much better. And personally, I'm really not a fan of building characters on artifact sets only for the 4-piece bonus, just because it feels like really a waste of valuable stats. These substats though, I would not keep this goblet. Attack sounds as well. Okay, very nice stats on this. Wow, okay. Did you put her on Thunder Soother just because you got good rolls on these? Good stats there as well. But this could definitely be used on somebody else who wants Blizzard Destroyer. Because I see an Ayaka up there. We do see a crown here though. First crown, very nice. So that is Mukuro's prized Keqing. I gotta say, I'm a little underwhelmed. So what else does this account have in store for us? Interesting to see Barbara so high up on the character roster, okay. Only 14,000 max HP though. Is this a DPS Barbara? Maybe? With Sith tells me DPS. Again though, level your weapons, god damn it! Level 60? This is a really nice piece for Linny that Mukuro mentioned. That's gonna be their next pull. I would say if you want to go for a DPS Barbara and you have the Wit Sith, definitely go for a crit rate circlet. If you're going for a DPS Barbara, there are a couple different options for sets. You can do Heart of Depth, which is the Hydra set that's in the Blizzard Destroyer domain. I'm assuming you had some of that in the past, but it got foddered away. You can also use Wanderer's Troop, because of the charge attack damage bonus. You can also use Shivanawa, because the normal attack damage bonus. You can also use Marechaussee, although that kind of a build works a lot better with someone like Farina. And if you want her to DPS, probably an attack percent Sans is actually going to be the better choice. Traveler? Okay, we're Geo. Wait, he's level 70 and he's all the way up here. Oh no, it falls off hard after this. Look at all these 5 stars at level 60. You can't even use these in the Imaginary Theater. What are we doing here? So we have Barbara, Keqing, Clorand, Bennett, and Baiju that are level 80, and that's it. Not the greatest roster to choose from. There are 3 main DPSs in there. Xingqiu and Shanglei all the way down here. Sucrose level 50, Layla level 50, and you said you like to use Razor, and he's all the way down here at level 50. Does he even have a build? Level 20 Debate Club. You called yourself a Razor fan in your application. I call bullshit. His burst is level 1. Alright, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get through the rest of these 5 stars here, and then we'll give a little bit of advice. I notice we don't really have any Dendro units here except for Baiju. So if you want to play around with Dendro more, switch your Traveler to Dendro and build him that way. Level 60 Dull Blade. Why? Of all the weapons to level, why was it this one? Okay, Ayaka, I'm seeing a lot of Blizzard Destroyer pieces on this account, but are any of them on you? A 2-piece. Well, well, the good news is you can get away with this crit rate if you go for a 4-piece Blizzard Destroyer set. If you go for 4-piece Blizzard Destroyer, I'd switch this to crit damage. That way, you can keep Harbinger and you won't be in danger of overcapping. Honestly though, I would swap this feather with the one Keqing has right now, and you'd already have your 4-piece Blizzard set. That's all it would take. Another of my favorites, Chiori at level 60. Oh goodness. Kagura Tsuruba Ishin Because she scales more from her defense than her attack, an attack percent weapon is investing in the wrong places, I'll say. I would not keep this on her. Honestly, I would say she could benefit from the Harbinger more. Also, because she's an off-field unit, it's way easier for her to keep that HP-based passive. Whereas Ayaka is going to be on-field a lot, she's going to be dodging a lot, it's more likely for her to get hit and lose that crit rate buff. She does not have an artifact set here. That's a really good Wanderer's Flower, you might want to consider that for Barb. Shan Yun, another amazing unit, left to the wayside here. She's such an easy unit to build though. All you gotta do is suffer with attack and ER, get her on a 4-piece VV set. I really wouldn't recommend Woodsmith. I would definitely recommend something like Fab Codex. You can even really put her on Thrilling Tales if you wanted to. She can't use the HP percent, but again, it gives her more support utility. Looks like you're on your way to a VV build for her. Yeah, I'd be looking for attack percent, ER in her stats, EM of course, because she's a swirler. You can use anti damage bonus on her, but it really just increases her personal damage. Attack percent is a lot better for her support utility. Another VV unit, Jean. Another double crit piece. Are you someone that only likes to keep pieces if they have crit stats on them? That's a habit you gotta break, man. A lot of pieces can be valuable even if they don't have a single crit stat on them. It just depends on who you're building them for. Jean has 2 potential build options. You either go for a healer build or for an EM swirler build. But she is not a great swirler because she mostly just pushes her opponents away instead of bringing them closer, so I would say go for the healer build. Fab is a great weapon to have on her. Please level this up. Artifacts focus on attack percent, healing bonus, ER, EM. Obviously, crit rate is useful because she's on Fab. If you switch her off of Fab, then I would definitely go for healing bonus. Cyno. Another character that wants level 90 to maximize his reaction damage. Have him on a level 1 Black Tassel. I don't think this is his intended weapon. Why does Mika have a higher leveled Fab Lance than Xiangling? Answer me, quickly. Now for the real crime. A level 60 Novelette. How long have you had this character? Are you an OG Novelette haver? I have to know. Joined party in October 2023. I fear it is so. We have an OG Novelette haver that has not built him. He's so easy to build too. Like, just craft a prototype Amber for him. 4-piece Marechaussee. You can honestly give him triple HP percent. Level up the normal attack. Level 90 him, and this dude will carry you. Leaving him like this for so long is a crime, my man. Ayato, who cares about you? Ayato having more artifacts than Nicolette disappoints me greatly. I would not worry about farming Echoes of an Offering for him. This set is honestly just kind of bad, and it's super present in Efficient Domain, especially if you don't have Zhao and you're not also farming for Vermilion intentionally. Gladiator is a pretty easy set to build. And this set also, if you have high ping, or you play on mobile, or you play on PlayStation, honestly, this set doesn't work half the time. So, yeah, really not worth it to go for Echoes. Go for Gladiator, or go for Heart of Depth, for like 2-piece Heart of Depth, 2-piece Gladiator, you know, whatever gets in the best stats. Seeing Cho this low is criminal. Absolutely criminal. We have some Noblesse pieces here. Okay, I think, this piece would be real nice for Bennett. Xiangling as well. Xiangling is at least ascended, jeez. Fab Lance, great for her, a great option. Although I would really recommend, really recommend fishing for the catch. I know it's tedious, I know it's hard, but once you're done, you have one of the best weapons in the game for only a few hours of your time. You could spend that entire time farming Primo Gems and you wouldn't have enough to get a 5-star weapon. So, you know, think of it that way. Ooh, that is a nice Marechaussee piece. Keep that for Linny, jeez. Yeah, if you have her C6, there's no excuse not to build her, because she's so good, she's so useful, you will not regret it. My man Ito is looking real sad down here at level 50. He does have a white blind, which is great, free play option. But like I mentioned earlier, if you want some other characters to invest in, Sucrose, absolute goat, amazing Animo Swirler. You do already have Shan Yun, but it's always nice to have at least 2 of them, one for each side of the abyss. Layla is also great. She works great with Chlorand as a shielder. You can also use her with other characters like Ayato and Ayaka. You can even use her with Navia, because she can help proc crystallize. I am extremely surprised to see no Fischl on this account. Wow. Okay, I was gonna give Fischl advice, but I guess she's not here. Well, on the chance that you ever do get a Fischl, farming for Maréchaussée and Golden Troop will not be wasted, because she loves a 4-piece Golden Troop set. You have a lot of great characters here, maybe a little too many DPSs and not enough supports, and you could have some really amazing teams. I'm gonna take a second to cook up some teams for you, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I would recommend. So, I was taking a look at some of the teams that Mukuro already has here, and we have some interesting potential. First off, I wouldn't recommend using Ito and Navia in the same team. Both of them are main DPSers, and both of them require very different kinds of team comps. Navia really doesn't work well with Mono Geo. She wants to have other elements in her party to be able to proc crystallize as much as possible. This is like a pretty solid Ayaka Freeze team. I would assume this probably works pretty well, except Mona definitely needs to be leveled up. And this, I'm not exactly sure if this is a Chlorand Overload team, but without Chevreuse. Either way, I don't think this is necessarily the best team comp. So let's go over an exhaustive, but not comprehensive, list of the kinds of team comps that you can do with all the DPSs you have on this account. For Chlorand, I suggest a team sort of like this. Layla as a shielder so Chlorand doesn't get interrupted during her attacks, and then pretend that this is Dendro Traveler. Chlorand works best in an aggravate team comp, and since your options for Dendro characters are pretty limited, I would just stick your Traveler on Dendro and go with it. Otherwise, you do have Baiju, and you could use him instead of Layla. And then I think the best way to finish off this team would be something like Sucrose for an Animo Swirler grouper, to be able to keep the enemies in one place for Chlorand to hit them, and also to shred resistance. For Navia, I would suggest at least one Geo teammate, and you do have a really good option in Shiori here.
Some inspiration.
Churi, of course, works best with Navia at C1, so you will take a little bit of a dip in Shiori's personal damage, but she'll be great at doing off-field Geo hits to proc crystallize for Navia. Then you can't go wrong with finishing off with the core of Bennett Zhongling. They'll give you Pyro Resonance as well as Bennett's attack buff. For your girl Keqing, she is similar to Chlorand that she works best in an aggravate team comp, but you can also swing her in Hyper Bloom quite easily, especially if you decide to go with a full EM build on her. I would definitely recommend using her with Baiju or Dendro MC, then a Hydro Applier like Xingqiu, and then your last slot is a bit of a flex. You can do either a second Electro character like Fischl, although you don't have her yet, or you can do an Animo Swirler, which is great for utility. I think Shan Yun would actually be really fun to try with Keqing because you could do Plunge Keqing. If you use her, you probably don't want to also run Baiju, in which case I'd suggest Dendro MC. Since your Dendro options are pretty lacking, if those are the kinds of teams you want to try playing around with, I definitely suggest aiming for Nahida in the future. Nahida basically opens up all the options for every kind of Dendro team. She's super versatile, she applies a ton of Dendro, and you basically never need to worry about any other Dendro units as long as you have her. For Ayaka, you already have a pretty solid team here. I would suggest trying, instead of Layla, you could also try out Rosaria. Rosaria applies a ton of cryo through her burst, she does some solid extra damage, and she also gives you a free crit rate. Xingqiu is an excellent choice to go into Freeze team, and instead of Mona, if you find her too clunky to use, I would also suggest a burst support Ayato. Ayato actually has a surprising amount of synergy with his sister. And instead of Gladiator, you could build him on 4-piece Emblem, or 2-piece Emblem, 2-piece Attack to make him more versatile. Or you could also run them as dual DPSs and swap between them. You could even, if you wanted to try out, do Ayato Freeze. You'd probably want to replace Layla with someone like Rosaria for more consistent cryo application. For Sino, one of the best core teams for him actually includes Baiju, although this is also usually paired with Farina, which you don't have. But instead of Farina, you can of course have Xingqiu. Farina works better for Quick Bloom because her Hydro application is slower while his is faster. You can also work around with Ayato, again as that burst support kind of build, although he will be a lot harder to time with Sino's kind of long rotations. This is another kind of team you could try out with Beidou as your second Electro, and Xingqiu, and then Sucrose or an Animo Swirler. You can also run him in a national comp. Obviously, this doesn't do much for how he is mostly Electro reaction based, but these three characters are just so strong together that basically any character can work on a team with them. You could put Navia in here, you could put Clarion in there. Heck, you can even put Neuvillette in here. Just about any main DPS can work with these three characters. They're just that strong together. Speaking of Neuvillette, if you want to play him, you definitely want to pair him with a Shielder if you don't have a C1, because he is prone to getting interrupted out of his charge attack. So your options for this would be someone like Layla, Kirara even though I know she's all the way down here unleveled. Beidou is also an option. And Xingqiu also technically counts because his rain swords give interruption resistance. For an Itto team, this is what I would run. Obviously, Goro is kind of like a dedicated support for him. So if you're really committed to playing Itto and running a mono Geo team, Goro is a must build. Chiori is great as a sub DPS. And then finally, I'd run either Prototype Amber Ningguang for a healer or Noelle. Being in a mono Geo team, Noelle should have no problems getting enough energy for her burst. Finally, I wanted to give you some tips for a Razor team, because I know you mentioned you really like him, and I want you to be able to play him if you do like him. So Razor's best team at the moment, thanks to Dendro, is a team called, and I'm not joking, Thundering Fury, which is a play on the fact that you use Thundering Fury on him. It's a triple EM set, and you don't have to worry about any stats other than EM. And then you basically throw him in a soup team, just with as many elements as possible to get as many reactions as possible. This team is really helped out by a C6 Bennett, but yours isn't C6 obviously, but still, he's really useful. Xiangling is also, of course, extremely useful in this team comp for that Pyro application. You're going to, of course, want Dendro application, so Dendro MC is a great pick. And then Hydro application, of course, so either Xingqiu or even Ayato actually ends up working really great with him. But yeah, for Razor, basically just pick any three of the options that I mentioned to pair with him, stuff him with EM, and you will absolutely go to town on enemies, I promise. The main problem I'm really seeing with this account is that you've just spread your resources way too thin. Trying to level way too many characters at once, way too many weapons at once. But yeah, it seems like you really just are trying to level up way too many DPSs at once, and so you were never able to really make any of them that good. And some of them end up as like just okay, or some of them not even built at all. Which is a shame, because you pulled these characters, you use your hard-earned Primo Gems on them, you should get to use them. The second biggest problem that I've noticed is that you have way too few artifacts. Like, I should not be able to scroll down once and see the extent of your 5 stars. I can tell just by looking at these artifacts that you've been trying to farm in way too many different domains, and as a result, you're not really getting much out of any of them. Farming way too many sets at once makes it really hard to complete individual builds, and it leaves you with these patchwork sets and just 2-piece bonuses that really hinder your character's performance. You have some really amazing characters on this account, and you have the potential to make them work. You have the characters to make them have good teams, but you gotta focus your energy on just like one team at a time. And since you really like Keqing, my suggestion would be to start with her. Although conversely, I wouldn't recommend farming for Thundering Fury in the domain because of this set. I would recommend strongboxing it and farming something else in the meantime. And you can go back and listen to all of my suggestions today to decide what you'd like to farm the most. For example, if you like Navia and you want to get some artifacts for your future Linny, farming in Golden Fruit Marechaussee is always a solid plan. If you want to start playing around with the Dendro teams and you want to start getting your Baiju built and your Sino built, farming in Deepwood Gilded is always a great idea. Since you seem to like Barbara, farming Viridescent is not a bad idea because you can get a maiden set for her at the same time. And even since you have both Ayaka and Ayato, farming Blizzard Strayer domain is resin efficient too, because you can use Blizzard Strayer on her and a Heart of Depth on him. And of course, systems like Xingqiu and Shengling are going to be well used on your account once you get these teams going. Spending a hefty amount of time in Emblem is going to do you good. Not only do these two benefit significantly from a 4-piece Emblem build, there's also a ton of characters that I recommended that would be like a 2-piece at the very least. Characters like Mona, Layla, Rosaria, and Beto, just to name a few. So everyone, thank you all so much for watching. And remember, applications for account reviews are not currently open, but they will be again in the future, so make sure you subscribe and join my Discord for future updates, and to stay tuned on all the latest news from my channel. Thank you once again to Mukuro for letting me take a look at their account today. I think there's only one way to send you all off. See ya!